So you want to get incredibly wealthy in Cardano this cycle. Here's 5 steps that I genuinely think can help you achieve this goal of getting incredibly wealthy in Cardano. Whether you're starting with like $1,000, you got $10,000, you got $100,000. Now, if you have more money, it's obviously going to be easier. But these are the exact 5 steps I've been doing for myself over this bear market, over since, really since 2021, that I've learned and ingrained in myself and built my portfolio around for this cycle in order to make the most amount of money that I can in the Cardano ecosystem in 2025. Using this method, I'm already up 100% on my Len5 position, and then I'm up plus or minus on a lot of other positions, but I think I'm in a good spot for the 100x for this cycle. Now, I don't only invest in Cardano. I want to preface this video by saying that I do hold Bitcoin, I do hold Ethereum, I do have a large S&P 500 holding, and I do have a lot of cash in the bank for my emergency savings. So Cardano is one spot in crypto that I feel very comfortable taking risk to the next level, and Cardano is a spot that I think is really good part in crypto, and I'm using Bitcoin, I'm using Ethereum to hedge against that ADA investment. So because I have Bitcoin, because I have Ethereum, I'm allowing myself to take more risk in Cardano, which is going to help me get wealthier. If you want to get crazy wealthy in Cardano, these are the 5 steps I'm doing in the order I'm doing them in order to identify the best assets to do it. Also, before we go too deep in this video, in the description is the Crypto 100x Blueprint. Goes over 7 steps to 100x your portfolio, my 7 steps that I'm following, and basically the 7 steps we're going to cover in this video today. Now, we're talking about 5 in this video, but if you want the full 7 steps for all situations, download that now. Step number 1 is identify the market cycle. Understand the market direction, and that will lead you into the whole rest of the crypto journey. Back in 2021, when I jumped into crypto, this was my downfall. I didn't understand this until about 2023, and by then I had already lost, some money here, lost some money there, whatever. But understanding the market cycle, the market direction, is going to be the biggest thing driving what you should do with your money. If the Bitcoin halving cycle is not going in your favor, you shouldn't be investing in Cardano for a 100x. If the monetary policy cycle is not in your favor, you shouldn't be investing in Cardano for a 100x. If the global liquidity cycle is not going in your favor, you should not be investing into Cardano long-term for the 100x. Sometimes these can be counter trend. I could see a scenario where crypto goes counter to the M2 supply, but in the general broad aspects, if the United States government or the EU government is hiking interest rates and making it harder to get money, these risk assets are going to take a hit. That's basically what we saw in 2023 and 2024, okay? So we're coming out of the other side of that. In order to understand the market direction, what I would do is look at the Bitcoin halving cycle, the monetary policy cycle for where you live, or for America at least, and then the global liquidity cycle, also called M2. Lucky for you and me, right now, all 3 of those things are going in our favor, and I think they're all 3 going into our favor because we have the monetary policy starting to cut rates here in America. Right? We dealt with the inflation, or we think we've dealt with the inflation, and now the United States government has done like one rate cut and is considering doing another rate cut in December. And so we're on the path to start lowering rates from like 5.5% down to maybe 4% or something like that, right? And so that gives people a little extra cushion to spend a little bit more money on risk assets like crypto, because when they take out loans, they have a little bit extra money that they're saving and they feel richer, right? So the first thing, we have the monetary policy cycle going in our favor by starting to cut rates, which will take us from quantitative tightening down to quantitative easing. So we're getting closer to more levels of that. Second, global liquidity cycle has bottomed. It bottomed in 2024, and basically it is starting to make its way upwards again. More money is in the total global system, and when more money is in the total global system, we have more ability to put money into risk assets. For example, the last time that global liquidity was at its peak was in 2021. 2024, it was at its low, and then the next peak is supposed to be between 2025 and 2026. Lastly, the Bitcoin halving cycle is in our favor. We are in the post-halving year. Typically, the post-halving year is the year that you see all the gains in altcoins, and this lines up right with our Cardano video. So first thing you need to do is understand the market direction, understand why you think the market's going to go up, and what factors are actually playing into that, okay? Those 3 cycles are in our favor. This allows us to move on to step number 2. And step number 2 is, why do you think Cardano is the investment? Why Cardano, basically? Because you can make this video for Cardano, you can make it for Solana, you can make it for Ethereum, you can make it for AVAX, you can make it for any any token in the world. You don't even have to pick a blockchain. You don't have to pick a blockchain like Cardano. You can say, I want to make my sector, instead of making it Cardano or Ethereum or Solana, you can say, I want to make it gaming, or I want to make it meme coins, right? And so you can say, why meme coins? Why do I want to be in meme coins? Or why do I want to be in Sol-based meme coins? Or why do I want to be invested in Ethereum-based L2s? You can make anything you want out of this section, but for me, it's Cardano. And a lot of you watchers, it's for Cardano as well. So why Cardano? This step is very important, step number 2, because it allows you to understand why you think an investment is a good investment or has good reason to go up. And then the rest of this video, where we talk about price appreciation and actually getting wealthy, is based in the logic that you gave in step number 2 here. So this step is very, very important. If you don't believe in Cardano and you decide, I want to invest in Cardano for the 100x, right? And I want to get incredibly wealthy. By the time you get to step 3 and step 4 and step 5, your conviction is going to break down, because the things that we ask you to do in the next couple steps are so counterintuitive to the way most people think, to the way emotions work, to the way logic work, right? You're going down the risk chain. And in order to do that, you're going to have reasoning. So step number 2, you want to solidify why Cardano. Why is Cardano the spot in the world you want to be in? For me, it's the fundamentals Cardano provides. It's the tokenomics that it provides to the users, to the retail, and it is the overall chart structure. In my last 2 videos, we've talked about the ultimate Cardano price prediction, and then we talked about if ADA can hit $1 by December. Now, in those things, we looked at a lot of ADA USD charts, ADA Bitcoin charts, ADA dominance charts, but basically, I think Cardano provides a good niche fundamental product that is good for retail users because of its decentralization, liquid staking, tokenomics, commitment to security, commitment to peer reviewed, commitment to the blockchain world, right? I like the things Cardano does, and I think it deserves more attention. I then think that the tokenomics really line up with a retail investor's requirements, right? So many retail investors, in my opinion, are investing into things that don't actually fit retail. They fit venture capital, they fit hedge fund, they fit larger crypto angel investors, but they don't fit the average person who has between $1,000 and $10,000 to invest and wants to become a multimillionaire. The tokenomics are just not set up for you to succeed when you're being dumped on, when you didn't have initial allocation, when you are fighting liquidity that is going into the circulating supply, right? All of these things are set up against retail. And so I like Cardano's commitment to the retail investor. Lastly, the charts, in my opinion, for Cardano are primed for growth. In my previous videos, I talked about how I really think Cardano is so massively undervalued compared to where it was last cycle. And over the past month, Cardano's up like 100+%. I think we are seeing that undervaluation come back to a proper valuation compared to the market. We do this by looking at ADA USD, ADA dominance, ADA Bitcoin chart, ADA Solana chart, right? There's so many charts where Cardano is starting to get its edge back. And I think if you believe in the fundamentals, the tokenomics, then the chart helps signify that Cardano is undervalued. That's why I see it. That's the way I see it. And that's why I personally really love Cardano. And it has been my core focus for the last 4 years. After we understand where the market's going, why we choose Cardano, the third thing that we need to do is you need to understand, if you want to get massively wealthy in Cardano, that Cardano can 10x against the dollar. Now, I live in America, so I use the dollar, but just say Cardano can 10x against fiat. Why do I think this? This goes back to the point we just talked about. Based on the chart, when I look at Cardano's price on the chart, I see things that say Cardano was undervalued compared to what it was last cycle. Cardano dominance has bottomed and it's starting to come back up again. Cardano has bottomed against its ADA Bitcoin pair and it's starting to come back up again. ADA USD has patterns and charts from 2024 here in this cycle that mimic 2020 and what happened in the last cycle. We are right on track, step over step. And for me, that means that Cardano has the ability to continue its run up. Now, obviously, I don't think Cardano this cycle is going to grow as much as it did last cycle. Last cycle, it went from like 3 cents at the low to then $3. That is a 100x return just on the ADA token. Right? Remember last cycle, Cardano didn't have smart contracts, so it didn't have DeFi, so it didn't have native tokens. Last cycle, ADA went from 3 cents to $3 at a 100x 10x. I don't think that's possible this cycle. But what I do think is possible is that Cardano ADA does do a 10x, right, off of the low of around 20, 30, 40 cents and gets all the way back up to $3+. Why do I think that? I think because of all the things that we've lined up, because of all the current events that are happening in Cardano, because of the trend-based Fibonacci extension. Last cycle, Ethereum got up to its 3 extension, right? Its 3 Fibonacci extension. If Cardano were to do the same, we're looking at between a $7, $8, $9, $10 ADA. So I think it's realistically okay to expect a $3 ADA or a $4 ADA, given all of these macro things. So step number 3 is that I personally think Cardano can 10x against the dollar, which means that if you invest in ADA today, or at least at around 30 or 40 cents like it was last month, you would have the ability to turn $1,000 into $10,000. This is the first 10x we're going to talk about in this video. Now, the first 10x is good. The first 10x is really awesome, actually. And if you're anyone, if you have $1,000, if you have $1 million, a 10x on your money is insane. It's insane returns for a year, right? Last month you could have bought ADA at like 35 cents, and this time next year it could be worth $3.50. You could 10x your money in a year for doing literally nothing except buying and holding and doing like 2 transactions, okay? So that's the first 10x. But if you're watching this video and you're like me, you think, well, a 10x, if I can do it that easily, how do I get a little bit more out of my money, right? How do I, maybe if you only have $1,000, or if you have $5,000 and you want to turn it into like a $500,000, how would you do that in Cardano? If you've decided Cardano is the place you want to be and you think, like me, that the ADA token can 10x, you might be asking, how do I get a little bit more gains out of that? And I know some people will argue with me and say that ADA can actually like 20x or 30x this cycle. I want to use a realistic example of like a 10x, a realistic price prediction, a realistic idea, and then move on from there. Okay, so step number 3, get a 10x by holding ADA against the dollar. But if you want to crank it up a notch and get insanely wealthy in Cardano, what you would actually do is move on to step number 4. Now, step number 4 basically says Cardano native tokens can 10x against ADA. This happens at the exact same time that ADA 10x's against the dollar. So effectively, Cardano native tokens can 100x against the dollar. If that idea confuses you a little bit, don't worry, it confuses a lot of people. But basically what I'm saying is, when you go to your brokerage, your Binance, your Kraken, your Coinbase, and you take your dollars and you trade it for ADA, what you then have to do if you want to get the 100x is turn that ADA into Cardano native tokens. Now, this obviously moves you into a whole new bracket of risk and a whole new idea of why you need to choose good Cardano native tokens, good small caps, good altcoins, right? But basically at this point in the cycle, and actually like a couple months ago, I have traded all of my ADA for Cardano native tokens. I hold 4 tokens on Cardano: IAG, NVL, Hunt, and LenFi. Okay? And the reason for this is I want Cardano to provide me the most returns that it can. And I'm willing to take the risk because I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum, I have these other things backing up my risk. But I believe Cardano is an undervalued ecosystem. I think ADA can 10x against the dollar, but then I want to expose myself to more risk and more return. So I'm taking all of my ADA, swapping it for Cardano native tokens, and I think that those native tokens, based on their fundamentals, based on their tokenomics, based on their charts, I think that they can 10x against ADA while ADA 10x's against the dollar. This effectively makes my Cardano native tokens 100x against the dollar. Every $1,000 I put in has the ability to turn to $100,000. Naturally, this idea raises the question of how do you pick a good Cardano native token? Well, it's the same for everything else. It's the same for why do you pick Bitcoin? It's the same for why do you pick Cardano? Look at the fundamentals, look at the tokenomics, and then look at the charts. The biggest thing with native tokens, in my opinion, people get too far out on the risk curve for no reason. I see people invest in gaming or invest in NFTs or invest in meme coins. My personal thesis is stick to the things that worked last cycle, or in Cardano, we had a DeFi summer in 2023. If a project did well in 2023 and the chart is still showing up good today, for me, that shows good reason to believe it is going to continue to do well. What Cardano native tokens are owning their sector? What's the best DEX, right? What's the best lending protocol? What's the best meme coin? What is the best synthetics protocol? Then you can dive into their fundamentals. You can dive into their tokenomics. You can dive into their chart structure and understand, are these fundamental and tokenomics mixed with the chart giving me the best opportunity for a 100x that I could possibly have? Now, if you want to get insanely wealthy, it doesn't mean that you necessarily need a 100x, but I like to look at projects that, or at least when I was starting this a couple months ago and a year ago, is I was looking at projects below $50 million market cap. This gives me an ample opportunity, if they're 10 million or 20 million market cap, that means to me that they can be like 1 or 2% of Cardano's total market cap and then still kind of get into that $1 billion range. I don't want to make crazy, insane price predictions. I don't want to say that every token can be worth $10 billion because I definitely don't think it's possible, right? I think Cardano could be, a $200, $300, $400 billion market cap project, and then all of the native tokens, the top 4 or 5 native tokens, could be worth about, $1 to $5 billion each, and then all the rest will fall below that, right? They're all about 1 to 2 to 3% of Cardano's total market cap. And so that's kind of my strategy, that's my plan. But step number 4 means if you want to get insanely wealthy, you got to get a little bit more than a 10x or a 20x, unless you have $100,000 or $500,000 to invest. If you got like 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, 25,000, right? You're going to want to do more if you want to get insanely wealthy. So I take that ADA, switch it to Cardano native tokens that I truly, truly, truly believe in, and that's how you get your second 10x, leading you up to a total of a 100x. Now, lastly, the 5th step in this cycle is arguably the most important after selecting your Cardano native tokens. What native token you invest in is obviously super, super important, but the last thing, the 5th thing, is patience. It's time, it's conviction, it's all the emotions you're going to deal with on this journey. And I want to give you a quick synopsis of how to avoid all of that. If you do your research right, these will take care of themselves, right? I did my research on Cardano, and the whole 2 or 3 years while people kind of bashed on ADA, I did have small emotional things in my head, but in the back of my mind, I knew, what else am I going to invest in? What else am I going to invest in that's a better investment than this, in my opinion? I couldn't go trade to some other chain because I didn't like their technology, or I didn't like the way they did staking, or I didn't like their economic model, or I didn't like their tokenomics or their fundamentals or their charts. And so to me, Cardano has been a no-brainer for years, and I do the same thing with my Cardano native tokens. I use fundamental analysis, tokenomics analysis, and I analyze the chart. It's all in the Crypto 100x blueprint in the description of this video. But I use those things in order to remove my emotions and allow me to be patient and allow me to have time conviction and self-conviction in the things I'm investing in. So the hardest last part of this whole thing is you. It's you. It's you competing with yourself, and then you getting on social media and analyzing your investments compared to other people's investments, and it's you not trading your tokens when someone else's portfolio runs and yours doesn't. All last year, Solana holders were running and ADA holders were not, but I'm glad I'm an ADA holder today as Cardano continues to catch up, right? And so it's not about how much you make versus how much they make. It's about you just running your own race and investing in things you invest in and dealing with the outcome as it comes. But you cannot be changing your portfolio or changing your strategy or flipping this or flipping that or trying to do something every day or chasing influencers or rearranging all these things. That does not work in the crypto game, in my opinion, for the majority of people. The best thing you can do is do the research, do the analysis, do the best that you can, buy tokens, stick with them, and just ride the cycle out. These are the 5 steps I would tell anyone that I am doing and I think work the best for the average retail investor in order to get insanely wealthy cycle over cycle. Figure out where the market's going, figure out why you're investing in the sector you're investing in, figure out how much it can go against the dollar, or what's a realistic price prediction. I realistically think ADA can 10x against the dollar, given all the factors we talked about. Then move that ADA or get involved in the native tokens on your ecosystem. That is because those ecosystem tokens are inherently more undervalued than the L1, right? Ecosystem tokens are not on Coinbase or Kraken or Binance, right? They don't have access to liquidity, and most people who buy ADA just buy it on an exchange and never get it into the ecosystem, so they never get exposure to those small caps. So small caps inherently have more risk and more reward given their undervalued nature. So if you want an even greater than a 10x, move it into native tokens. And then the last thing you have to do, man, is hold yourself accountable and don't chase all the people telling you to buy this or buy that. Don't listen to me, right? Don't listen to anyone. I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe. You might not like the 4 tokens I invest in. I hear it all day long. People say, well, LenFi has no token utility. Hunt has no token utility. NVL, you shouldn't buy NVL, you should buy Titan. People tell me this all day long. They've been telling me this for months. Guess what token just doubled? LenFi, right? LenFi, okay? And so I have my conviction, they have their conviction, you have your conviction. Stick with yourself, understand yourself, and I'm not always right. I don't buy meme coins, but if I did buy meme coins, I could have gotten SNEC all-time high or gotten that 100% return on Nike. So there's all these things out there. But if you want to get insanely rich in Cardano, you have to know where the market's going, why you're invested in Cardano. You have to know that ADA is probably, in my opinion, going to 10x against the dollar, and then you have to know that Cardano native tokens can 10x against ADA while ADA can 10x against the dollar, all right? Hope you enjoyed the video. If you got any questions, leave it down below. Crypto 100x Blueprints in the description. It goes over 7 steps of this process, and you'll get 7 emails starting this Saturday, I think. So download that if you want. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Got any questions, let me know on Twitter or let me know in the comments.